Imagine this. A new prospect joins your email list and gets welcomed with the perfect email sequence. Everything's planned to build trust and convert. But then, midway through the flow, they browse your site, they add a product to the cart, they start checking out, and then, boom, they start receiving your abandoned checkout flow with different messaging and a completely new offer. Or even worse, they get hit with your weekly campaign blast of 20% off site-wide. Perhaps they even place an order and are now receiving your post-purchase flow alongside everything else. Worst case scenario, they might even receive a promotion higher than the discount they just used to make an order in the past days, making them even more frustrated and then causing them to even cancel their purchase. Here's an example image of how this overlapping customer journey might look like for a given profile on your account. Let's say somebody signs up to your email list. They start receiving the welcome emails. There's the welcome email 1, there's the second one. At the same time, they're still receiving the weekly newsletter campaigns. There's different offer here in the welcome emails, and then potentially there might be a campaign discount code here. They're receiving both of those at the same time. Maybe they even start to checkout after the second welcome email, and now they're receiving both the welcome email with a different offer, and then they're receiving the abandoned checkout email with a different offer, and both of those flows alongside each other. And also still, and the third line here, they're receiving the campaigns with maybe even third different offer here at the same time. Then they might place an order, and then if you're not excluding properly, they might after that be receiving your welcome emails, your post-purchase emails, your campaigns, all of those at the same time. And let's say they, for example, use the checkout abandonment code here to place this order. Then, in a worst case scenario, maybe you're sending a site-wide promotion at the same time, and then the next day after they place this order, they might be receiving a discount code of the campaign from the campaign that is even higher than the one that they used in the previous day to buy this order. That's of course really, really bad experience for the customers. Maybe they want to cancel their order, place it again with the higher discount code, and so on. There's a lot of issues that come with this setup here. What happens? Now your customer is confused. They're asking which discount is real, why did the urgency disappear, why is the same brand sending these mixed messages all the time? All the trust you were building is basically gone at this point. And this happens all the time when exclusion segments and flow hierarchy are not set up properly. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how we prevent this confusion across our e-commerce clients by using smart exclusion logic and a well-planned messaging hierarchy. And now without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Step number 1, you want to be adding a custom exclusion property in all of your flows in Klaviyo. What this means is that you basically create this custom property for anyone who enters any of your flows and update this property to inactive at the end of the flow. So here you can see at the start of the flow, there's when somebody is added to newsletter, update welcome flow to active, and then when somebody is at the end of the welcome flow, for example, in this case, you're going to be adding this update welcome flow to inactive property. And I can show you how this looks like in Klaviyo. Here's the welcome flow example. You can see when somebody enters this flow, you just create this profile property, update the existing property welcome flow to active, and then after that you have the same one here at the end, but you just update it to inactive instead. This is step number 1. Then step number 2, you want to create a global exclusion segment. In this segment, you're going to be adding anyone who is currently going through any of your flows. You have this exclusion property that we did in step 1 for all of your flows. You have one for welcome flow, you have one for cart abandonment flow, for checkout abandonment flow, for all of the other flows you have in place. And now you just want to create this segment where you include all of those custom properties. Whenever somebody is active in any of these flows, they're going to be inside this segment at the same time. And I can show you how it looks like, how you build it. There's an example from our own internal Klaviyo. We don't have any profiles here, but let's see, for example, in this case, how you would build this is that you add these properties just as a chain here and separate them by or filter here. Welcome flow equals active, or cart abandonment flow equals active, or checkout abandonment equals active, or then you can add whatever other flows, post purchase flow, let's say feedback flow equals active, or whatever that. And then you just build a segment. This is the second step you need to be doing. Step number 3, you want to exclude this global exclusion segment you just built from all of your campaign sends. So when sending a regular weekly campaign, you need to remember to exclude this global exclusion segment from the list of recipients. This way, you're going to be only sending campaigns to people who are not currently going through any of your email automations. And this way, you're going to be making sure that the communication is not overlapping there between the flows and the campaigns. And how to do this? You can add these exclusion segments in the segmentation section of your campaign builder. For example, if you go inside here, here's an example of the campaign builder. You can add newsletter segment to the send to list, and then you can add, for example, global exclusion segments here as an exclusion. And then you make sure that people in this segment are not going to be receiving the campaign. So that's it. And of course, if you have a big sale going on, or a big announcement to make, or whatever you want to be sending to everyone, absolutely everyone, you might want to to be able to receive those campaigns. And in that case, you can just remove that exclusion segment from that given campaign. But by default, we usually want to be keeping it here. And examples of these big announcements or sales might be like BFCM sales, holiday sales, new product launches, whatever you feel like is really something you want to be showing to everyone on your list. Of course, if you want the full list of inclusion and exclusion segments we recommend using in your email campaigns, you can find those from our internal segmentation SOB below. So you will have a link to this doc in the description section of this video. So you can open this from here. You can go into this yourself, and then you can find how to build these segments and what segments we usually recommend excluding from campaigns. So, for example, recent buyers, please make sure that people who are have bought from you before, they're not receiving any discount codes or anything like that after that straight away. And then there are these other ones. All of these have explanations on how to build these segments if you just open this document yourself. That's it. And then step number 4, you want to map out your messaging hierarchy. And what this means, basically it means that, to optimize your customer journey with email and SMS marketing, you need to have a really clear understanding of and a strategy for what messages you want to prioritize over others. Without clarity on this, you're pretty much going to either have overlapping communication that confuses your customers, or prioritize the wrong messages, causing the more important ones to get buried in their inbox and lose their impact. So here's an example of a messaging hierarchy and how it might look like as a simplified version. For example, as the first priority, you have high priority announcements and sales, like BFCM campaigns or whatever. Second priority would be post-purchase flow. After that, checkout abandonment flow, welcome flow for new subscribers, weekly email newsletters. And what this basically means in practice, this kind of hierarchy means that you are going to be sending the high priority announcements or sales to everyone, even if they are active in flows. You're going to be prioritizing post-purchase flow or emails over all the other flow emails and regular campaigns. If somebody is eligible for both welcome flow and checkout abandonment flow, you're going to be sending the checkout abandonment emails instead of welcome emails. So basically, you're going to be excluding checkout abandonment profiles from the welcome flow. You're only going to be sending weekly newsletters for profiles not currently in any of the higher priority flows. So this is pretty much what this kind of example flow hierarchy or messaging hierarchy might look like for your brand. Of course, you're probably going to be having much more flows and campaigns in your Klaviyo setup, so the hierarchy can be a bit more complicated based on the context. But mapping these out, either with bullet points or within a flowchart tool like Miraboard, where you can have a clear, flowchart visualizing what you want to prioritize over others, you'll have a much better picture of what messages are the most important ones and how to ensure they always get prioritized over the less important ones. All right, step number 5. You want to use the exclusion properties we just built as filters in your flows. So here's an example from the welcome flow. I can also show it here in Klaviyo. You go in this flow, you go into the trigger, and then you see the filters here. And you have these filters here: placed order, 0 times overall time, checkout started, 0 times bounced email. Then you also have at the end, checkout abandonment flow doesn't equal active, or checkout abandonment flow is not set. And what this means is that basically, people who are active in the checkout abandonment flow at this point are not going to be receiving your welcome flow emails. So for example, you decided, like we decided in the last step, that checkout abandonment flow is prioritized over welcome flow, then you're going to be able to achieve that prioritization with this filter in your welcome flow. So whenever somebody goes into checkout abandonment flow, for example, by starting a checkout and then subscribing to your email through that, then they're going to be only going to the checkout abandonment flow and not going to the welcome flow. And why do we want to do this? Again, you might have a different offer in your welcome flow. You might have a different offer in your checkout abandonment flow. You don't usually want to have people receive both of those simultaneously, overlapping with each other, because it's just going to confuse the customer. They're going to be getting different discount codes, different discount sizes, and so on from both of those flows. So instead, you just want to prioritize one over the other. And in this case, we decided to prioritize checkout abandonment flow, so you can achieve it by adding this filter in your flow. And you need to have the checkout, or you need to have the messaging hierarchy planned out fully before you can start to implement these filters. But once you have it planned, you can just add the filters to all of the flows accordingly. So let's say you want to prioritize checkout abandonment flow also over the win-back flow. You would also, include the same filter in the win-back flow as well. Or if you want to prioritize some other flow over another, like maybe you want to prioritize like cart abandonment flow over or browse abandonment flow over win-back flow as well, then you're going to be adding the same filter, like browse abandonment flow doesn't equal active or is not set in the win-back flow as well, and so on. So that's how you use these exclusion properties and make sure that you only have the highest priority flow going out to one person at the same time, and you don't have multiple different customer journeys overlapping simultaneously at any given point. Then the final step in this setup is to build an exclusion fallback flow. And I'm going to be explaining this to you right now. So basically the only challenge when setting up these exclusion segments and properties is that if somebody exits the flow prematurely because of failing the profile filters, they won't be reaching the end of the flow, and they'll basically be getting stuck in the flow active segment. Example here, somebody buys a product, a subscriber buys a product when they're in the welcome flow. They're going to be exiting the welcome flow at that point. And in this case, their status is left as welcome flow active, and they'll be basically stuck in that segment, being excluded from all your other email campaigns and flows. And to ensure this doesn't happen, we're going to be setting up this exclusion fallback flow to strip people from their flow active properties after enough days has passed, and we know for a fact that they should be off from the flow by that time. In other words, let's say it takes 7 days for a new subscriber to go through the whole welcome flow. We can then set up an automation that automatically strips a profile of the welcome flow active segment after 7 days. And this is just a precaution to make sure that no one gets stuck in your exclusion segments forever, and wouldn't ever be receiving your campaigns anymore, for example. And then you can also chain all of these exclusion properties in the same global exclusion fallback flow that I'm going to be showing to you next. With the suitable time delays. So for example, 7 days delay after joining the flow, you're going to be stripping them away from the welcome flow active segment, and then 14 days after that, you're going to be maybe stripping them away from the post-purchase flow segment, and so on, depending on the time delay and time it takes for any of these flows to be completed from start to finish. So here's an example image. For example, when somebody is added to the global exclusion segment, then you're going to be waiting 2 days. And then you're going to be, if the review flow is active for that profile, then they're going to be updated to inactive. And then 1 day later, they're going to be, stripped away from the site abandonment flow segment, site abandonment flow active segment. And then after that, it's just like continues further down with all of the other flows like welcome flow, browse abandonment flow, cart, checkout, post purchase, so on. And I can show how to build this. So basically in here, you can just go into the flow. Actually here, let's say this is a global exclusion fallback flow. You can press added to segment is the trigger, global exclusion segment, then press save. And then at this point, when somebody is added to global exclusion segment, let's say welcome flow takes 7 days, like we explained. Then you put a time delay, 7 days here. And then after that, you're going to be having a conditional split, asking if the person properties here are welcome flow equals active, and then if yes, then you're just going to be adding a profile property update saying that welcome flow property inactive, like this, and then you're going to be putting this after that. What happens next? Let's say you have a post-purchase flow that takes 2 weeks. Then you add another 7 days of time delay here after the first one, 7 days. So then when somebody enters the segment, they're going to be waiting 7 plus 7 equals 14 days. And then there's another conditional split at this point, asking if the post-purchase flow, well, let's say in this case, it would be like a checkout abandonment flow. Checkout abandonment flow equals active is the conditional split. And then if yes, then you would add another profile property here again, saying that update checkout abandonment flow to inactive. Press save, and then drag this again here. And you would just chain all of the flow active segments that you have into the same flow. And this way you're making sure that nobody ever gets stuck to these segments. And final note regarding this global exclusions, fallback flow needs to be duplicated every month or regularly, because segment triggered flows like this only work once in Klaviyo and people cannot re-enter them. Let's say somebody enters your welcome flow active segment, then they enter this flow, they get stripped away from the welcome flow, but then the next week they enter, checkout abandonment flow active. They couldn't enter this flow again because segment triggered flows only trigger once in Klaviyo. So to ensure that people don't get stuck into any of these segments, we want to clone this flow and populate it every month or so we can make sure that people always go through this flow again and again and never get stuck in these segments. So that's pretty much everything I have for how to make sure that your messaging is not overlapping, your flows are not overlapping, your campaigns are not overlapping, and all of the customer journeys stay smooth, aligned, stay clear, and people are actually receiving aligned communication that makes sense without having all of these confusing different angles and different offers going at their way all the time. Now, that's it for the video. My name is Bernie Brander. I'm the CEO and founder of GrowTrigger. We're the #1 Klaviyo partner in Finland, specializing in retention marketing for Shopify brands. And together with my team, we've helped over 50 e-commerce brands grow profitably while generating 35 to 55% of their total revenue through email marketing. Here's my email address. Here are all of my social media links. Now, if you want to, learn more about these tips I explained here, if you have any questions about the strategies, or if you just want us to help you implement all of them for you, go ahead and take your 60-second email health quiz or book your free retention consultation and audit from the links below.